Superstitioneers by J. Wilburn. Raven held onto the chain link barrier around the outside of the Bat Attitudes dugout. As the team approached in their purple and white uniforms, they still had dirt stains from the previous day's spectacular loss. The Hitmen, as the opposing team called themselves, had immaculate... Okay, I need a comma right there. Had immaculate black and white uniforms with red slashes cutting diagonally over the fronts and backs of their jerseys. The slashing lines were uneven, as if they were meant to really invoke the image of blood. "That's not what baseball is about," Raven said, as her gossamer wings fluttered in a blur. She especially did not like that the Hitmen walked with their heads up and her team shuffled through the infield dirt, staring at their feet. Okay, I got an extra "the" in there. And now nobody will know I made that mistake except me and you guys. "I used to be in the majors," Raven said. "Did I ever tell you that?" Another fairy, sitting on the shelf behind the long dugout bench, folded his arms over his knees and said, "A few times. You've mentioned it, yes." Raven groaned. "Every one of these kids just stepped on the chalk lines. They're all doing it like it's on purpose. It's like they want to lose. Do they not understand the magic behind this game, Salt?" "Probably not," Salt said from the shelf. "I worked with the best in the majors," she said. "I was partnered with Rally Hat, Chalkline, Point Skyward, and even Lucky Bat in his prime. Now I'm here in Little League, and these guys don't even want to win." "They want to," Salt said as the boys entered the dugout without noticing their fairies, "and it's youth junior division." Raven turned to face her partner as she hovered next to the fence. "What's the difference?" "They're a little older," he said. "I can't believe I got demoted." "This isn't a demotion," he said. "We are put where our talents are best used." Again, I got an extra word there. That is one of the risks of doing stories out loud. Sometimes as I'm typing, I write something twice, or I think I've written a word that I've said and I haven't. Of course, I sometimes do that even when I'm just writing silently, so I guess habits are just sometimes magnified while you're streaming. All right. "And the most talented are in the majors." She turned in the air to face the field. "Chalkline got demoted too, but he's at least still in the farm league." "Where is he?" Salt asked. The Bat Attitude's first hitter moved to the plate as the black uniforms of the opponents spread out to their positions. The next batter... I need to fix a spelling there, excuse me. The next batter stepped into the on-deck circle. He sort of leaned on his bat instead of warming up. The coach clapped his hands a couple times, but seemed as low energy as the kids in the dugout. Raven said he ended up with a jumbo shrimp. "In Jacksonville," Salt said. "That's a great minor league team." Let me put a question mark there, I'm sorry. "That's a great minor league team. They do awesome stuff for their fans." Raven sighed. "And we're what, Raven?" "How many fairies do you see in the other dugout?" I have an extra letter there, pardon me. Salt got his wings going and flew up beside her. "I can't tell. Their team is on the field. They should be too." They watched a moment as the first strike was thrown. The kid in purple didn't even lift his bat from his shoulder. A couple fairies flew out toward the outfield. "There they are," he said. She held up one of the 4 fingers on her left hand. "Wait." Another came out, and there seemed to be yet another still fluttering around. 4 fairies for one team. "In the youth junior," Salt said. "Weird, huh? Suspicious even. Do you know them?" Raven pointed around the field as their kid fouled for his second strike. "That's Mirror. On the other side is Umbrella and Horseshoe." "What about the 4th?" Salt asked. They waited through a strikeout and a groundout before the last opposing fairy moved into the sun. He had a thick gray scraggly beard and twisted horns. One of his wings was bent, causing him to lilt from side to side as he flew toward home plate. All right, hold on, that's not a compound word. Let me fix that. She showed her bright teeth and growled, "That is Billy Goat." The Billy Goat? No one else would ever use that name again, so yes, the Billy Goat. "I thought he was still in retraining. Suspended? Yeah, right. Bad pennies like him never stay put." "Maybe he's learned his lesson," Salt said. Raven snorted and spit through the fence. He'll never learn. Salt shrugged. Raven took that as dismissal, so she pressed her case. What's he doing behind home plate? All right, let me fix home plate here. What's he doing behind home plate if he's learned his lesson? He could be encouraging their catcher. Encouraging? Raven literally scoffed out loud. He doesn't know the word. Billy Goat finished digging through the pouch on his side. He threw a handful of pixie dust that should have fallen like chalk through the air. Instead, it somehow looked green and slimy as it fell heavy with a magical splash. The umpire made a terrible call. The Bad Attitudes bleachers roared with disapproval. "Come on, Blue," one father yelled, as if he were in physical pain. The Bad Attitude... Let's make an S on there because that's how the team is spelled. The Bad Attitudes coach simply rolled his eyes, clapped, and said, "Get on out there, boys. Remember your fundamentals." "I told you," Raven said. "Curses?" Salt shook his head with his tiny jaw hanging open. Who would waste curses in a junior youth league game? Billy Goat, she answered. It's all he knows. The 4 fairies for the Hitmen stayed on the field during the exchange. "What are they doing?" Salt asked. "Getting ready to curse our team." Salt scoffed now. "Why? Our team hasn't won a game yet. Their coach has all the charisma of a bloated toad under a sleeping spell. They could win fair and square. Billy Goat cheats because it's what he lives for." Salt groaned. "This is going to be a bad day." Raven took her partner by the arms. "Help me." "What?" "Help me beat them." "It's not supposed to be about us," he said. "It's about the game." She shook him and said, "How can it be if Billy Goat is throwing curses during the first half inning?" He thought and said, "Okay, I'm in. What do we need to do?" She flew out of the dugout and he followed. Raven said, "We counter their every move. Anything they spend magic on is going to cost them today." "Our team may still lose," Salt said. "They probably will. Still, Billy Goat needs to be put in his place." Salt nodded and asked, "Okay, what's first?" "Go distract the others in the outfield as I deal with him." Salt flew out and Billy Goat turned toward Raven with a crooked grin. "On the way down, are ya?" She smiled back, but was sure it didn't look natural. "Up to your old tricks." "Some of us care about winning," he said, "and the rest of us care about the game." He sneered and shouted, "Time." "What?" He called louder, "Time!" The umpire called a balk. Raven looked around. She saw the pitcher looking about in confusion. "Did he hear you?" she asked. "Thought he heard something, didn't he?" Billy Goat cackled. "Why do you feel the need to cheat in this game?" He shrugged. "You don't care about winning. So head back to the dugout with your deadbeat coach. You'll be blessing T-ball next week." All right. Billy Goat threw some more of his putrid pixie dust. The catcher lost one in the dirt, and the runner advanced to second. Salt flew back in, and Raven met him on the first base line. He huffed and puffed. "They're distracting me. There are just too many of them, and they're working with Billy Goat because he promised to get them back to the majors with him." Raven sighed. I know the feeling. We're just outmatched. Then we have to be smart." The next batter bunted. Raven threw her sparkling pixie dust on the catcher and the pitcher. Go help the third baseman." I changed which player I was having get helped here and forgot to take out the word first. "Go help the third baseman." "Third? Just do it." Salt flew. The pitcher held up and the catcher... He wouldn't hold up. Let's have the pitcher... The pitcher veered off. All right, the pitcher veered off, and the catcher threw for third without hesitation. Salt panicked and spilled more chalky magic dust on third than he meant to, but it did the trick. The runner tried to hold up, but third threw it to the pitcher, who tagged the runner, and then threw for first in a spinning jump. The first baseman was shocked, and the hitter, who had been jogging at best, tried to pick up speed. He was out by a step. Everyone was silent for a long moment. The kids in purple seemed to be having out-of-body experiences. Did they just turn a double play on the Hitmen on a bunt to advance a runner from second to third? They never even practiced such a play. The Bad Attitudes bleachers erupted into rare cheers. I'm using the word erupted way too many times. I'm going to change a few of these when I see them, so I'm going to make this one burst into rare cheers. That's not even, it doesn't even sound better, but I'm going to leave it for now. Even the coach seemed to wake up a little. Billy Goat growled from home. You cheated, you big cheaters. How did you know the hitter was going to, let's say, slough it? Slough it? I don't know if that's right, but I'm going to use it for now. Dog it doesn't sound right. It makes it sound like he may have gone faster, so I don't want to add confusion. I was going to slough it that bad. I need to put Salt's name here. Salt asked as they met in front of the mound. Billy Goat has already cursed home plate twice in the same inning, she said. That comes with a price. All right, let me put a quotation mark here at the end. Excuse me. All right. The smiling pitcher threw the ball between his team fairies without even seeing them. The ball was hit deep and the fielders stopped short, each expecting the other to get it. It dropped in for a hit and the runner took extra bases. Did they curse our outfielders? She narrowed her eyes at the other Fae about the field. No, Salt said. They do that a lot. They need to work on it in practice. Raven rolled her eyes. They threw charms and counter curses at each other throughout the bottom half of the first inning. The Hitmen got 3 runs before Bad Attitudes could find a final out on a nearly bobbled grounder. The early innings were a pitched battle between the two magical sides. To the humans, who knew only so much about the magic behind this game, saw a game filled with, let's say, a matchup. Filled with errors and lucky breaks on both sides. Billy Goat's, I need to put an apostrophe there. Billy Goat's crew threw so many curses that the field was splotched everywhere with patches of bad luck. Change this to an S real quick. Half the time, Raven and Salt just did their best to guide their players around the dark spots. By the 5th inning, it was 9-4 in favor of the Hitmen. Raven and Salt sat in the dirt, only flying when they had to in order to conserve energy. Salt turned 2 of his pouches inside out. Except for a few sparkles from the last few grains of magic stuck on the inside, he was empty. I got nothing left, Raven. We can't keep up with 4 of them. They came packing like this was Game 7 in the World Series. Billy Goat cackled from the shadows. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta fix a preposition here. Billy Goat cackled from the shadows of bad luck around shortstop. You should always come with a winning attitude, you pair of loser mosquitoes. Let me fix the tense here. All right, moving along. He really burns me, Raven muttered. We've done the best we can, Salt said. That has to mean something. Behind them, the Bad Attitudes coach laughed and clapped his hands. You guys are playing great. Real hustle out there. Keep it up. No matter how this game turns out, keep it up. A few of the parents clapped. As the boys switched out for the 6th inning, a few more heads lifted high. Boys in purple uniforms smiled wide. What woke him up all of a sudden? Raven asked. Salt sighed and rubbed his weary eyes as he said, It has been kind of an exciting game. Our guys are playing hard. Raven fluttered her wings in a blur and rose off the ground. Let's say rose up from foul territory. That's a better descriptor of where she is and not generic. Okay. She watched as the boys in purple patted each other on the back and a few turned their caps inside out for luck. You still have your wand charged? Raven asked. Salt blinked a couple times and felt around his jacket. When he rose into the air beside her, he held out the bright, sparkling wand. I do, but it will discharge fast if we're trying to counter all of Billy Goat's curses. All right, let me put quotation marks here. A lot of dialogue in this story, so I need to be sure I got all those. We won't, Raven said. What do you want to do with the wands then? He asked. Are we just showing them off? Encouragement, she said. Salt turned to her with a look that said he was sure he misheard her. Did you say? I did, Salt. The wands are best used for encouragement, and that seems to be lifting up our team more than any other magic we've used today. Look how much they brightened with just a little encouragement, even though they are down by 5 runs. Let's try it out and see. As the game progressed, Billy Goat and his fairy squad, got an extra "the" in there, trying to correct edits in mid-writing sometimes causes you to leave certain things into sentences as you're adding something different. So going back to the story, as the game progressed, Billy Goat and his fairy squad continued their dirty tricks. Lots of drop balls and misses due to sun in the eyes, but the bad attitudes got vocal in the field. The hitmen growled back with trash talk. They were in a foul mood for a team that was winning, but didn't understand the curses were eating away at the light in their souls. Nothing that a milkshake after the game couldn't fix, but they were not themselves now. Let's say right now. They were not themselves right now. I don't want to make the other team into bad guys, so the hitmen aren't necessarily evil or anything like that. They're just kids playing a game. But, occasionally people will get a bad attitude. The bad attitudes were unfazed. They rallied from bad plays. They stretched and ran hard. They played above their abilities by quite a ways. The hitmen's parents argued calls and hit the fence. It wasn't curses in their case. It wasn't curses in their case. Okay, I was going to keep that singular. They just had bad attitudes. The bad attitudes' parents stayed on their feet for most of the final inning. Top of the ninth came with the hitmen leading 14-8. I don't want to jinx it, Salt whispered, but I can't believe it is even this close. Raven smiled. Whatever happens, happens, but let's leave it all on the field. The bats were alive. Billy Goat cursed home plate until it was a dark void only the humans could see through. Still, the bats of the encouraged and energized bad attitudes were on fire. Extra base hits, RBI singles, advancing on drop throws, cheering each other home. On the final hit, the runner on third waited. As soon as the hitman's center field glove popped with the catch, the smallest player in purple charged for home. The catcher stepped out in front of the plate and offered the fielder an open target. The center fielder had caught the ball in a bright corridor between patches of lingering bad luck. He fired the throw home with strength and accuracy worthy of the majors. None of the fairies on either side could take credit for that. The throw was on time and on target. The small boy pulled up and then slid under the tag like a pro. The catcher was caught off guard. I don't think off guard is a compound word. The catcher was caught off guard. He swung his glove low as the boy in dirty purple extended his foot into the plate. Out, the umpire called. Game. Everyone froze a moment. Oh well, Raven said, if only his legs were a few inches longer. Cheers rose from the hitmen's side of the field. It was a hard-earned victory. Okay, let's see if that's compound or a hyphenated word. We're going to make it hyphenated. It was a hard-earned victory, and they looked weary in their celebration. The bad attitudes coach hollered, "No hanging heads today. You are a team of heroes. No one else in the league put up nearly that much fight against the hitmen. You are stars. I've never seen better, harder, or more heroic play in my life. This is my proudest moment as a coach." The parents behind the purple team's dugout stood and cheered their boys. With a final score of 14-13, the teams passed one another and slapped hands with respect on their faces. When they went through the ritual of parroting "good game" over and over, it almost sounded like they meant it. All right, let me take out that quotation mark. And we are almost done with this story. "You lost," Billy Goat croaked from his back in the infield dirt, with dust from the slide still swirling around his face and beard. "You lost." He closed his eyes and struggled for breath. A couple more of his wings looked bent. Working in curses came at a cost. Raven mumbled, "Yeah, congratulations." Salt shook his head. I'm glad we don't play this field again this season. It might be into the playoffs before all this bad luck clears up." Raven rolled her eyes. "That's not going to be great for the hitmen when they play home games. The other three fairies lined up in front of Raven and Salt. Mirror said, "Good game. I've never seen anything like it." Umbrella. Okay, let me spell these characters' names correctly. Umbrella is actually spelled like the word, so I should get that one right. Umbrella glanced at Billy Goat on the ground and said quietly, "Listen, I'm sorry, you guys. I got caught up in all this, and I'm not proud of how we acted. You guys are fighters." We'll spell fighters correctly. You guys are fighters. Your team will never forget this day. Horseshoe would not meet Raven or Salt's eyes. "Yeah, I'm sorry too. I'm going to request a transfer at the end of the season. What about you, Raven? Still going for the big leagues again?" Raven looked at Salt and smiled. She watched the boys in purple talking excitedly with their families. Dad shook hands with the coach with smiles across their faces. Raven said, "I might see how things play out. I think I have a lot I could learn from here." Billy Goat coughed up green dust. Coughed up green magic dust that settled in his beard like a rotten spill. You lost the game, you losers." The other fairies flew away, leaving Billy Goat in the dust of the empty field without responding to his taunts.